Hey guys, and welcome to another block spotlight. In this spotlight I'm going to take a look at the elevator block from the OpenBlocks mod. Now I've got one here in my inventory, and let's have a look at the crafting recipe. So the crafting recipe for the elevator is fairly simple. You just need an ender pearl and completely surround that with any type of wool. So it can be any color, just you need wool all the way around, one ender pearl. So, well, depending on if you're using a mod pack and which mods are installed, this is or isn't a cheap recipe. That's something you have to make out for yourself. But the block is very useful. Now I've got a little setup here in front of me to demonstrate the various properties of this block. So what the elevator block does is basically it eliminates the need for any ladders. It does this by basically teleporting you to blocks above or below it. I've got a simple one set up here with just space enough in between it for me to fit in there. And to go up, basically you simply press the key you have set to jump. Space is the default normally. So you press space and you sort of get teleported up to the block above there. All right. So as you might have noticed, I've got another one here, which is placed just a little bit higher. And yeah, there we go. You have to make sure you're standing on top of it. So we can teleport up and down. Teleporting down you do by crouching, which is shift by default, if I recall correctly. So very convenient block if you don't want to have any ladders in your house. It's also a lot faster to climb, of course, than ladders. Now by default, the maximum range these can teleport, I believe, is 20 blocks. But this is something you can also change in the configuration in the settings. So I will have a look at the actual settings a bit later at the end of this video. Now, you also can teleport through blocks. So, for example, if you have a floor in between the elevator block and the level below there, you can teleport through it. The default amount of blocks you can teleport through is 4 blocks, as you can see right here. So if I stand up here, you can teleport through it. Now over here, I've got 5 blocks in between. So if I stand on this elevator, I can't teleport anymore. All right. So of course, you can also teleport downward into like caves. This is just a little small room I made under the ground, but yeah, you can see I've got the elevator right here. So the basic concept here is you need an elevator where you want to go and where you come from. So one at the bottom, one at the top, and of course you can also stack these. So let me quickly demonstrate that. So let's say that's 2. Okay, we can break those 2 and 2 more. All right, so if I stand at the bottom here, you can go up again, down, and, you know, you can place as many of these on top of each other as you want, and you can just keep pressing the the jump or the crouch key to go to cycle through them, I suppose. All right, so that's the basics of these blocks. They're fairly straightforward. They're very convenient if you're building a nice structure. One thing you have to keep in mind is, though there is a setting in the configuration to be able to teleport through half blocks, like slabs, I think. By default, certainly, and I think also when you have that option enabled, you cannot teleport up when some block is blocking the space above the elevator. So let's quickly show you an example here. So let's say we have a wall behind here. And well, let's use ladders. So if we have ladders against that wall, we can't teleport up. So this basically, the bounding box of this ladder is obstructing the block, well, the space above the elevator here. So when you remove those, it works. When they're there, it doesn't. So that's something to keep in mind. This is something I figured out myself when it didn't work because I had ladders above there. But yeah, so that's also something to keep in mind. So those are essentially the basics of how the elevator works. There's nothing more to this block, but it's certainly a very useful one. Now, if everything goes well, I should be showing you the config file right now. And at the top of the config file for the, well, it's called drop block in the config file. I'm not sure why, but the first thing to keep in mind is that by default, I think the config is set up to have the elevator drain experience. I'm not sure how much, maybe 1 level, maybe a bit less. But if you want to use it to teleport, you need experience, and you can disable that. I usually do that because I don't really see the need to use experience, but okay, let's say by default it's enabled. So it drains some experience. Then you have the ignore half block setting, which of course will ignore half blocks when it's counting blocks it can pass through, which essentially means that you have the block limit, which is 4 by default. And then it will not count any half blocks that are placed in between. So if you have, for example, a slab and 2 blocks above there, it will still 4 blocks above there, sorry, it will still teleport through those. All right, then we have the irregular blocks are passable. So that's the option which I think allows you to teleport if there are blocks like ladders and stuff in between there. I'm not sure. Then we also have the maximum amount of blocks the elevator can pass through before the teleport fails. So that's essentially where you can set that number, how many blocks can be in the way of the next elevator block. Then there is the range of the draw block. So that's how many blocks can, well, how many empty spaces or blocks can be in between the 2 elevators. So basically the maximum distance you can teleport. And then finally there are some special block rules. This is something you can set, but I don't really see a need to be tinkering with that. So that's if you want to have some special rules for specific blocks which you don't want to teleport through or whatever. Alright, so that's basically it for the elevator block. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.